Hi, this is Eric Deutsch from Gamingtrend, and I'm with Johnny O'Neill,
Hi.
the creative director for the Stormlight Archive role-playing game. And we're here today to just really get in and talk
Yeah,
what
absolutely.
can be talked. Kickstarter's coming soon.
Very, very soon.
Yeah. So what do you want to share with everyone about launch and what planning the Kickstarter is for what is going to be one of the most highly anticipated and highly watched Kickstarters this year?
Well, I have to say the reason it's so highly anticipated and highly watched is because Brandon Sanderson, this world famous fantasy author, has created a world that is perfect for playing a role playing game in. He himself is a big nerd. He is a gamer. He is somebody who spent his entire childhood playing role playing games. And he actually says, like, the only reason he doesn't play RPGs right now is because it uses the same part of his brain that he uses to write his novels. But he's made worlds like Scadrial, the world of Mistborn, and Roshar, the world of Stormlight, where magic follows its own rules, where people are heroic characters who literally level up. In the case of Stormlight, by swearing ideals and becoming more and more committed to a particular idea, kind of like a paladin, but supercharged. And so it's just the perfect setting to make an RPG in, and we've pulled together a world-class team to make a really fun tabletop RPG.
Nice. And with all of that,
Yeah,
in the world of Scadrial, it's one of those things where we are looking at powerful people for Mistborn, and
yeah,
in Roshar, we're looking at literal Knights Radiant
that's right.
with regular people
Yeah,
also in the world. And so, how do you make a role playing game without everyone just saying, "Hi, I'd like to be a Knight Radiant. Let me get all the cool powers."
absolutely. I mean, so this is, in building the kind of creative vision for this RPG, which is something I co-authored with Brandon and then passed off to these awesome designers like Andrew Fisher and Lydia Sun and Max Brook to actually then sort of execute and create. Um, it was all about balancing acts. And one of them is we want to make sure that heroic characters are balanced with radiant characters. We want you to be able to play a character like Adolin in the books who isn't running around with superpowers and still feel on equal footing with the rest of your party. Or in the case of like an Avatar, we want Sokka to be as fun to play as Aang or Katara. So in this world, we have 6 heroic paths. So, for example, this is Scholar. The paths are there's also Warrior, Envoy, Hunter, Leader, and each of these means you are awesome at that thing. You're not just an ordinary person. If you're a Scholar, you're super smart. As if you go down the Strategist talent tree, you're going to unlock abilities that let you outthink your opponents in ways that aren't literally magic, but have as much of an impact on the gameplay as some of the magical things going on. Um, Once you have started to attract a spren, to gain the attention of this otherworldly being who can imbue you with powers, you can become a Radiance. And so the Radiants do have awesome superpowers, and we express that also through a system of leveling up through ideals. And so Radiants also have these talent trees, and these work just like skill trees in Skyrim or talent trees in other RPGs. Like a couple of our team members worked on the Star Wars TTRPG from Fantasy Flight Games. And the reason we set it up this way is because the characters in these worlds are very kind of diverse in their skill sets. You have characters who he's a surgeon, he's a soldier, he's a leader, he's a windrunner. And how do you make sure that he can be all of those things in this game and not be diluted or underpowered? And so we built it from the ground up to support characters who have that kind of background.
Okay. Because everyone likes the idea of Kaladin,
Yeah.
but maybe not the, mental health concerns.
Well,
So I can see why you would want to be able to do something that other systems might call multi-classing, where
Yeah.
you have that background,
That's right.
while at the same time recognizing that, like, sometimes it is just great to spend or
Yeah, to
put all
focus
your
on one
skill
particular thing.
into wind running or
Yeah.
Dustbringer.
No, I mean, it's funny, like in game terms, in the 4th book, he definitely moves, he takes a break from leveling up in Windrunner and goes back to his like surgeon path where he unlocks the mental health counseling talent.
Yes.
Like literally that's in there, emotional intelligence, he has in there. So No, we've really built this from the ground up to support what's in the books while still being a system that, at first glance looks like a classic D20 plus modifier system.
Right.
We've had a ton of people who have only ever played like D&D or Pathfinder play this and feel like, okay, I know what I'm doing. I want to roll the die and try to roll high. But then we've also had people who are like more RPG enthusiasts who've played a lot of different systems who say, okay, smart. I see you brought this thinking in from here, that thinking in from there, to make a system that really kind of is a best of both worlds or a best of all worlds kind of situation.
Very clever, bringing in that Cosmere, because we have to acknowledge that this is happening on Roshar.
Yeah.
But there's other systems out there, other worlds out there. Magic is real, and there's impact. Are there anything hinted at or in the books about world hopping?
So one of the cool things that Brandon did with these books, right, is he built a bunch of individual books that only after years of these books coming out did people realize, wait a second, these are all taking place in the same universe. And so on their own, these are excellent books. You can read Mistborn and enjoy it. You can read Stormlight and enjoy it. But the mega fans, people like me, read them all and see all the connections and intricacies. So I think here we have an opportunity to start with Stormlight, which out of all of his worlds is the one that is the most tailor-made for RPGs. Like the power level of the characters literally maps to like a 20, and then 21 plus level progression. And that's our starting point. But it'd be crazy of us not to at least be thinking in the direction of where else could we take this? Can we make sure we're building a system that has the hooks in it to be able to explore beyond?
Yeah, it would always be great to be able to be at a table with someone with radiant powers, have someone who is from Elantris and has that magic available to them, and see what it's like to play together in a balanced way. But we acknowledge stepping stones.
Yeah.
Let's get the cool stuff in Roshar first.
Yeah.
Let's get that baseline out there. And so I'm really excited about this. This looks like a system that is accessible, and can be really built up on. So I'm looking forward to hearing any other stuff you've got. Speaking of, anything about lore?
Let me
talked about with Brandon that we can talk about here.
So I just sneak peeked a couple of pages from the handbook, but let me also open up the world guide because here we have taken the opportunity to make this something that fans have been asking for a long time, which is a lore book. Like for example, Wheel of Time has the White Book, which is just a book full of lore. And we've made that. We've also made it an art book, which is what people have been asking for. People have been asking for like a coffee table book for years. And so we said, well, what if this was all in one? And so this has, the different cultures of Roshar. We've got sort of the different flora and fauna of Roshar get shown off really for the first time. We have these awesome like travelogue illustrations where you sort of see sketchbook journal entries about different worlds, and so on and so forth. But this also happens to double as our adversary profiles, creature stat blocks guide. So you're getting a little bit of everything in this, but I expect a lot of people, even if they're not gamers, are going to want to have this just as fans of Stormlight.
Yeah, and as a fan of Stormlight, you've been able to work on this material with Brandon. How does it feel to be able to hear it from the source, but also be able to maybe put a little bit of spin on it yourself?
Everybody who's worked on this project has had some opportunity to inject an idea into the Cosmere. Brandon, he's an auteur, he's a creator, but this isn't like Tolkien where it's like there's a giant encyclopedia that he did first and then he writes stories. Brandon leaves himself some space in the stories to develop further and develop more. And so, there were definitely times where we said, how does this work? And most of the time he said, here's how it works. Other times he said, well, there's a couple of ways that could work. Let's talk about it. And we would sort of work through it, things like that. Or something he does frequently is an artist makes something really cool and he says, yes, I like that. I'm going to weave that into the story. And so our artists, as much as anything, like Marie Seeberger, our concept artist, or Katie Payne, our art director, they have had an influence now on the shape of the world itself, not just how it looks.
Okay.
So
And it looks gorgeous. Those
you.
few pieces really did look good. And as lore, I'm excited to get my hands on this and really get to know a little bit more about what's happening in some of those nations that we really haven't seen.
Yeah, I will say there. I have a lot of RPG books that I am happy to own, even though I haven't played those games. I hope people play this game. It's a great game. We've invested. We're well over a year into alpha testing with hundreds of testers. We're now into beta testing with thousands of testers. It's a really good system, but don't worry about saying, "Oh, I don't know if I'll be able to play this," because not only can you play it online through Roll20 and Demiplane and Fantasy Grounds and all of the partners we've set up on that front, you can also just read the books, and they're really cool books.
Awesome.
So,
Thank you very much.
all right, thank you.
And have a good one.
Thanks.